chilling wind sweeps through the geopolitical landscape, carrying with it the scent of betrayal and the rumble of shifting alliances. The pact forged between Russia and North Korea in June 2024 has sent shockwaves across the globe, particularly in the Asia-Pacific and Eastern European theaters. This seemingly unbreakable bond has cast a long, dark shadow, especially over China, who finds itself caught in a web of complex and dangerous dynamics. The deepening collaboration between Moscow and Pyongyang, punctuated by exchanges of sophisticated weaponry and advanced technology, has ignited fierce reactions from South Korea and Ukraine. China, seemingly silent but deeply concerned, has found itself in an increasingly precarious position, caught between its supposed allies and its vital economic partnerships. Brace yourselves, because the consequences of this new geopolitical reality are about to unfold, and you might be surprised at the dramatic turns this story will take. This video will explore the intricate and alarming developments in 5 distinct acts. The seeds of discord, how the Russia-North Korea alliance has challenged China's position. Betrayal and isolation, unmasking China's growing unease. The economic grip, China's complex relationship with North Korea. China's strategic dilemma, the limits of power. The unseen hand, a final twist. Get ready to uncover the truth behind the headlines as we delve into the intricate details of this global game of power. Watch till the end. We will reveal the crucial conclusions at the very end. The alliance between Russia and North Korea, seemingly an ironclad partnership, is nothing short of a tectonic shift in the world's power dynamics. The June 2024 agreement, ostensibly a pact of mutual support and defense, has served as a catalyst for a cascade of events that have left China in a state of silent fury. The very nature of this agreement, with its implication of a united front against the West, has placed China in an uncomfortable position. The increased military cooperation, including the exchange of advanced weapons and technological expertise, has not gone unnoticed, particularly in South Korea and Ukraine, where these developments are viewed with suspicion and alarm. China, while refraining from public commentary, is visibly unsettled. This development threatens to disrupt established power balances. China was silently angered by North Korea's move. The deployment of over 11,000 North Korean troops to assist Russia in its conflict with Ukraine represents a significant escalation and a brazen challenge to Beijing's sphere of influence. This move by Kim Jong-un, seemingly a demonstration of solidarity with Russia, has been met with unease and consternation in China. This has placed China in a very awkward position with its technology giant partners like Japan, South Korea, and the United States. The growing ties between Pyongyang and Moscow have painted China as part of an alliance it never fully embraced, creating friction with its economic and diplomatic partners in the West. China's concerns were not only about geopolitical strategy, but also about its own economic well-being. This has triggered a chain of events that challenges the perception of a united Eastern Bloc. China was caught in the middle of this conflict. The appearance of solidarity between China, Russia, and North Korea is a masterful illusion, hiding deep-seated tensions and conflicting interests. Behind closed doors, China is grappling with the realization that it may be losing its grip on regional power dynamics and international standing. The perception of China as a member of the Russia-North Korea alliance, an image carefully cultivated in international discourse, has directly contradicted China's economic interests. This situation has resulted in Western sanctions, which have hit the Chinese economy hard. The economic ramifications of this perceived alliance have been significant. The economic fallout from the Kremlin-Pyongyang deal has made Beijing a target for Western economic pressure, further isolating it from its key trading partners and exposing the instability of their carefully managed relationships. China is now slowly distancing itself from its former allies. Over the last decade, China's influence over North Korea has gradually eroded, and its inability to curb North Korea's nuclear ambitions has caused immense concern in Beijing. The recent alliance agreement between Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin has only served to exacerbate these fears. The agreement, which commits both nations to mutual military assistance in the event of external aggression, represents a direct challenge to China's long-held policy of strategic stability in the region. Pyongyang's subsequent decision to send troops to support Russia in Ukraine further underscores a growing divergence in priorities between China and its supposed allies. While China has maintained official silence, The implications of this alliance are reverberating throughout Beijing's corridors of power. This new geopolitical alignment has raised a difficult question. Has China been manipulated by Pyongyang and Moscow, much like it was during the Korean War? The parallels with the Korean War are striking. Back in 1950, Mao Zedong's priorities were squarely focused on the reunification of Taiwan, and he was less than eager to get involved in Kim Il-sung's ambitions on the Korean peninsula. The historical record suggests that Stalin, then the leader of the Soviet Union, ultimately backed Pyongyang's agenda, ignoring Beijing's clear preferences. Kim's decision to conceal his plans from Beijing prior to launching the attack on South Korea created anger, forcing China to intervene and save North Korea from impending defeat. This historical betrayal has many echoes in China's current apprehension, a sense that China's interests were ignored by both Pyongyang and Moscow once again. The current Chinese leadership, much like their predecessors in 1950, find themselves in a position where their interests are being sidelined by the actions of their supposed allies. China's passive reaction to the latest moves by both Pyongyang and Moscow seems particularly puzzling, given its status as the most powerful nation in this triangular dynamic. Unlike Mao's time, the current Chinese leadership does not require Russian approval for strategic decisions. The ideological bonds that tied Beijing and Pyongyang together in the past have long since frayed, with Russia becoming the junior partner in its relationship with China due to the war of attrition in Ukraine. North Korea, however, also holds the position of being a junior partner to China. The significant economic dependence that North Korea has on China, with Beijing accounting for 98% of North Korea's official imports and exports in 2023, grants China considerable leverage over Pyongyang's economy. Despite China's ability to exert economic control over North Korea, Kim Jong-un seems to favor Putin, sidelining Beijing in his strategic calculations. This begs the question, what are China's real priorities in this complex geopolitical equation? China's interests in the Korean peninsula are often conflicting and multifaceted, particularly when it comes to North Korea's nuclear program. While China officially claims to desire the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula, they continue to veto sanctions against Pyongyang's missile testing regime. This stance reflects a desire to maintain regional stability and avoid a full-scale conflict. Beijing views North Korea's nuclear development as a reaction to U.S. hostility in the region, and they are encouraging the U.S. to seek better relations with North Korea. This is all in an attempt to restart denuclearization talks. Yet, China prioritizes stability above all else, focusing on preventing the collapse of the Kim regime. It also aims to prevent another unwanted war that would threaten the security of its borders. China's support for North Korea acts as a buffer against South Korea, a pluralistic democracy with a strong U.S. military presence. North Korea is undoubtedly the main beneficiary of these complex geopolitical games, balancing its alliance with Russia while relying heavily on China's economic support. Despite its close ties with Putin, Kim Jong-un still cannot afford to alienate China completely. China's primary concern is to control the flow of North Korean migrants, especially given the growing occurrence of natural disasters and climate change, which has resulted in many defectors fleeing through China. China's policy of repatriating North Korean defectors is criticized by human rights organizations. However, if Kim Jong-un and Putin continue to sideline China, the Beijing regime may ramp up its repatriation efforts. This delicate balance highlights the complex and ever-changing dynamics in the region. China's military commitments to North Korea are another point of strategic complexity. The 1961 Mutual Defense Treaty binds China to provide military assistance if North Korea is attacked, which has always been a vital military security for North Korea. Yet Beijing has implied that these treaty obligations do not extend to scenarios where Pyongyang initiates the conflict, making clear that China would remain neutral if Pyongyang was the aggressor. Despite their differences, the two nations are tied by their shared ideology and one-party system, and the treaty was renewed in 2021. However, with North Korea aligning itself closer to Russia, China's military support for Pyongyang could gradually diminish, forcing North Korea to consider its own strategic vulnerabilities, especially if they remember China's intervention in the 1950s. In 1950, the geopolitical landscape was defined by two opposing camps: the Soviet Union, China, and North Korea on one side, and the US, Japan, and South Korea on the other. Kim Il-sung managed to secure support from Stalin for his unification plan. Today, both North Korea and Russia are seeking China's backing, and they are relying on China's deep historical and security interests in the region. The Russian and North Korean strategy is to exploit China's growing fear of isolation in its struggle with the US, thus reducing China's strategic options. This scenario allows Moscow and Pyongyang to increase their room for maneuver, and they see an opportunity in China's increasing discomfort over the rise of Western influence. Despite China's discomfort with the implications, it is carefully neutral on the war in Ukraine and quietly accepts the Russia-North Korea alliance, which indicates the start of China's unrestricted partnership with Russia. China's first warning signal might not be directed at Russia, but at North Korea. While the 1961 military alliance with North Korea technically remains in effect, China has been careful not to openly refer to North Korea as an ally. The historical parallels with the Korean War are limited, as the power dynamics are different. China now holds a decisive power advantage over both Russia and North Korea, yet China's passivity is puzzling. China's reluctance to challenge either Putin or Kim is a sign of diplomatic timidity, when a more assertive approach would serve China's own interests. This passive approach stems from the Chinese strategic culture of cautious, reactive policies, which leaves China vulnerable to the opportunistic strategies of North Korea and Russia. Chinese strategists are right to worry about China's decreasing influence over North Korea and Russia, and the obvious solution would be to use China's considerable power more decisively. The historical policies and approaches of Mao and Deng may offer a more relevant model to deal with the challenges. In 1985, Deng outlined a new plan to learn from China's relationship with North Korea. China should learn from its own reactive, risk-averse stance towards North Korea. Despite their close ties over the past 75 years, their relationship has also been fraught with persistent tension and distrust. Tensions during the Cold War arose from China's increasing economic ties with South Korea and from Pyongyang's desire for self-sufficiency. China tried to repair ties with Pyongyang, and in 2018, China's Xi Jinping and Kim reaffirmed their commitment to denuclearization. However, as North Korea embraces Russia, relations between the two nations have once again begun to freeze. As we conclude our analysis, it is clear that at the end of 2024, we are in a completely different period in history. North Korea might try to double-cross China and become isolated from the international arena. However, the Pyongyang regime will find itself weakened without the backing of Beijing. Kim Jong-un's strategy of playing with Putin is likely to cause serious problems for North Korea, as China has more political and economic reach. Many analysts believe that North Korea has become a burden rather than a valuable ally to China, and China is perfectly capable of getting rid of this burden. Russia is likely to try to get its own share from this whole process. China and North Korea relations, which are expected to deteriorate, and which side Putin favors, will be determined by the outcome of the Ukraine war. The future of North Korea is likely to be in the hands of China. This entire scenario will depend on China's political and military moves to counter Jong-un and Putin. But what if the entire picture is not as straightforward as it appears? What if China's apparent timidity is not a sign of weakness, but a carefully orchestrated strategy? A move to lull both Russia and North Korea into a false sense of security. China, with its history of calculated moves and strategic patience, might not be as passive as it seems. It is possible that Beijing is simply biding its time, allowing events to unfold, only to reveal its true strength when the moment is right. Maybe the entire alliance is a trap, engineered by China to exploit the weaknesses of its supposed partners and reassert its dominance in the region. Perhaps China is not the one being played, but rather, it is playing everyone else. This final chapter of this geopolitical drama is still unwritten, with many twists yet to come. As we draw to a close, it becomes evident that the seemingly simple alliance between Russia and North Korea is riddled with complex layers of hidden agendas, historical grudges, and strategic chess moves. China's passive stance is nothing more than a carefully constructed deception. The real power play is yet to come, and the fate of the region lies in the balance. The coming months will be crucial in revealing the true nature of these ever-shifting alliances. The geopolitical tectonic plates are shifting, and the world is watching.